0, 1, 2, 3. Let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the UMP 11.9. This is a UMP clone that utilizes a bolt and a barrel and trunnion from a Mac 11. So this is chambered in 9mm. This is basically UMP at home. And everything you see here is additively manufactured, other than this metal reinforcement plate here and obviously the hardware and stuff, but obviously. So this is one of those special projects where you're not just printing a lower and then putting an upper on it. This whole thing's coming off your printer. So it's a little bit more involved, but it's also not a very difficult build. There's far more complex builds out there than this one. The reason why I decided to go with this specific build is because if you remember from a couple of weeks ago, when I first got my Mac 11 upper receiver, I told you guys about how it was defective. Well, the company let me keep that original upper receiver and they sent me one that wasn't defective. But I was able to salvage the bolt and the barrel and trunnion from the defective receiver. And if you want to listen to me rant about that whole issue, just go back to those videos. There was some things I had to work out, but I was able to salvage those parts. So I figured, since I have those parts already, I might as well build something that uses them, and this uses them. So this is a really cool build. I've always liked the UMP, but you know, I'm not trying to pay the HK tax. I mean, they make good stuff, and I'm not saying that their guns aren't worth it. It's just, they're expensive. You know what I'm saying? And everybody's favorite part is you get to slap it. So this is a really fun gun. It's one of those ones where, I mean, it really just like, I mean, yeah, it's a clone, but it just looks good. You know, it really does look like the original. It comes with a folding stock, brace, whatever you want to call it. I think it's technically a brace in the files. So if you don't already have a folding brace, you can just print the one that comes with it. But you also have an option to print a rear cover that has a 1913, the pick rail on the back, so you can put whatever stock you want on it. I just went with this one because, you know, I mean, you got to have the whole look if you're going to go with the UMP. You know, it just looks really good. But other than aesthetics, functionally, this thing is sweet. A lot of people are skeptical about printing upper receivers in PETCF, but this whole thing is printed in PETCF. Other than the brace, I ran out of PETCF when I was printing, after I printed all the other stuff, so the brace is just printed in PLA+. That's why it looks all shiny compared to the nice matte look of the rest of it. But so far, I've put, I guess I haven't been keeping a toll, or a tally, but I've put hundreds of rounds through this. And actually here, we'll just cut to some range footage of this thing being fired so that you can see it in action. Okay, so there you can see it fires really nicely. It cycles beautifully. There was no issues with feeding or anything like that. I'm using printed magazines. Let me set this down so I don't drop it. Using printed magazines. This is a printed Sten mag that I added the little tab here on the back. But I also printed one of these curvy mags. The finish looks like trash because I accidentally used the wrong settings on the supports. So the supports fused into these little areas, and I had no choice but to just sand it. It looks like trash, but it works perfectly. It feeds just fine with no issues. And then just your standard straight Sten mag. This is one of the ones that comes in the files for the DB alloy. This one also functions, all three of these magazines function flawlessly. I know I've talked to you guys a little bit about printed magazines and some difficulties I had with one of them back when I was doing the DB9 video, but all three of those ones work flawlessly. Oh, and these are also, while we're talking about PETCF, these are all printed in PETCF. It's a really good material for magazines because it is extremely stiff and durable. You don't got to worry about these feed lips giving out. You can leave these mags loaded for extended periods of time and they're not going to get damaged. So yeah, I've been using a lot of PETCF lately, and it's a really good material. Something quick of note that I wanted to mention too was the iron sights. They're not really iron, obviously they're plastic, but they are functional and they are slightly adjustable. I mean, you obviously can't adjust for windage, but you can adjust for elevation. And mine, maybe I just got lucky, but they're pretty accurate. Like it's not, like when I use the irons, it's not that far off. And I mean, the gun itself is pretty accurate. Obviously, this sight that I have on here is more accurate than the irons, but this is just a cheap Amazon sight, by the way, for those of you who are wondering. I don't put expensive optics on my 3D printed guns. It just, you know, the gun is cheap, therefore I put a cheap optic on the gun. And I've had good luck with Amazon sights. I mean, from my experience, as long as you're not getting the ones that cost like $20, they'll hold zero. Like the only time I've ever had one of these cheap Amazon sights not hold zero was when I tried one out that was literally 20 bucks. But all the ones that are like 40, 50, 60 bucks, they all have held zero for me just fine. And I've got them on a ton of different guns. Obviously I don't use a cheapo optic like that on something like, I wouldn't use it on my everyday carry, you know, like there's certain guns where I'll spend a little money on the optic, like my P90's got a nice optic on it, my AR's got a nice optic on it. Both my carry guns have nice optics on them, but for, you know, for beater range toys, just get a beater optic, you'll be fine. But yeah, this gun, even with the cheapo optic, it's very accurate. I had no problems with that. And as far as, you know, recoil impulse, it didn't feel like anything crazy to me. I mean, obviously it's going to feel almost exactly the same as a DB9 because it's just Mac parts, you know what I'm saying? So I know that HKs kind of have a reputation for, you know, worse recoil than most, but this one feels pretty standard run-of-the-mill. And I shoot almost exclusively 115 grain just because it's all the cheapest crap. But yeah, just thought I'd throw that in there. This thing's freaking sweet. You should make one. Like I said, it's a very easy build as far as builds go. The only part that requires any sort of thought is this little piece here that's between the metal and the upper receiver. There's this little section of plastic that holds onto the trunnion, and you have to make it the exact size of your trunnion. So it's not hard to make. You literally just measure your trunnion and then set the Z height of that part to whatever your trunnion measured at. So it's not hard. It just requires, you know, 5 seconds of measuring and input, and then you're good to go. And then other than that, everything else is just a straight print. So You don't have to print it out of anything fancy. You can print it out of PLA Plus. That's all I really wanted to talk about. Just wanted to show you this. Wanted to show it and show you guys, you know, some footage from the range and talk to you about how cool this is. And if you're looking for a 9mm build that's simple and, you know, almost entirely printed other than just those bits, this would be a good one to do. And, you know, obviously, like I said, you can't go wrong with being able to slap it. I can't remember if I mentioned this or not. I got this parts kit from DB Design Works, the guy who designed the DB alloy. He has a website where he sells parts kits. Anyways, if you like this video, if this is the kind of content that you're interested in, please like and subscribe. I have a Patreon, and I also enabled YouTube membership, so there's multiple ways that you can support the channel. All of the files that I talk about on the channel, I post links to those files on my Patreon for free. You don't have to be a member. You can literally, they're publicly available, so even if you're not a free member, you can access them. But I do have multiple paid tiers. The paid tiers get you access to the Discord server, which there's almost nobody in there right now. So, you know, Discord's the easiest way if you want to, you know, talk to me directly. You have questions about builds and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.